Dude, I heard something weird recently that only 10% of recyclables are actually recycled. Did you tell me that?
No, but
I heard a
doesn't
very low
seem
percentage.
surprising. What did you think it was before? Like you just assume it was 100?
Yeah, I did think that. Absolutely, I thought that. Yeah. I think it might a bit. I think what I heard was it was as low as 10%. But like, dude, like like, people. I mean, Canada has done a really good job with trying to recycle. I believe, like, if you like, we have those blue boxes, right, which you put outside of your house, and you have to organize them. And if you don't organize
Yeah.
them, they don't pick them up, and they leave you like a little like notice or something. And if you fuck up, I think 3 times, then I don't know if you get a fine or
This
something, but they
is
control
this
it.
in China?
What's that?
Was that in China, did you say?
No, in
Is that what
Canada.
you said?
No, in
Oh, in
Canada.
Canada.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought you were making like a dictatorship joke because like Canada is kind of like
Well, I'm about to as well because you get a fine or something. Yeah, like Trudeau will probably disappear your ass now.
that's
He
true. Freeze your account.
Yeah, there seems to be some admiration from the Trudeau camp and his belief system and the way that China does things.
That's right.
Okay, jokes aside, I just had a quick Google, and so there's this website called DoSomething.org, and they're about big on recycling. And so what they say, their sort of catchphrase is that the EPA estimates that 75% of American waste stream is recyclable, but we only recycle about 30% of it. So that's in the States, and that's an estimate.
I'd argue an inflated estimate if it's from the same, it doesn't sound like a third party statistic.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting to sort of dig into that a bit. Look, the other thing you got to understand is like in the real world, like in reality, things are messy. It's very hard to get an exact answer. You can only sort of really get approximates because there's so many different ways to view and measure, and errors in measurement and not 100% accurate date, all this other stuff, right? So there's all these things, but it's clear that we're not fully utilizing the power of recycling, right? In the broadest sense, like not just like, putting your cardboards and your plastics together and that kind of stuff. Like as a general concept of what recycling is. So like reutilizing byproducts to complete that cycle so that things are self-sustaining in that way, right? We don't fully make use of that as a species. And I think all this climate change shit and all these other are just distractions from actually that. Like we could, if we allocated all this time, energy, and resources onto that, wow, would we see a different world, and wow, would we have a different future in front of us.
Remember when I told you that one of my pet peeves was when I see someone litter?
Yeah.
I don't know what it
Yes.
is. I don't know what it is with that. I just
Wait, you're Captain Planet guy. Look at your outfit. Are you fucking kidding?
Fucking right, guy. Captain Planet guy.
It'd be mad off brand for you not to get annoyed.
That's true. That's true. But like, yeah, like it just for some reason it just grinds my gears. And
well, it's a very simple thing.
I know it's so easy. Like if you have garbage, like put it in your pocket if there's not a garbage can around. Like, okay, like why would you throw it on the fucking ground? Like, god damn.
I don't know if you're gonna win people over by convincing them to put garbage in their pocket.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what I do, but I don't give a fuck. But or hold on to it. I don't know. Find a garbage bin. Like it's not hard.
So you bring up a good point, right? And one thing we didn't touch on is plastics. Plastics have been a problem. There's many different arguments you can make whether or not plastics have been good or useful or whatever. But again, with all of these things, it is what we make of them, right? So we've developed the technology to be able to utilize these hydrocarbons to make all these different things like plastics and everything else. And the fact that we've been able to do that is whether it ends up being good or bad will be based on how we can complete that cycle. So how can we take these things that we end up producing and then reutilizing them and or the byproducts of them to complete that cycle? Okay. So currently at the moment, we've found ways to make these plastics, but we haven't come up with ways to pull them out of the environment. And they have been, if you listen to the media and different things, causing problems where we have large islands forming in the oceans. And these islands aren't made out of, sand and soil. They're made out of plastic. These are plastic islands. This is, large amounts of plastics that are in the ocean because of the way water flows and all that kind of stuff end up pooling together and creating these giant plastic islands. Now, this can cause problems for wildlife, for the organisms that live in the oceans. You have reports of microplastics being in fish and getting into our bodies. We've got the BPAs and the other one, the pseudoestrogens that are turning frogs gay, alligators hermaphrodite, frogs hermaphrodite, all this different crazy stuff. But they're endocrine disruptors. Okay, and so these are unintended consequences that we weren't necessarily aware of when we first started making plastics, but now we're becoming aware of. And so it's up to us to try and find solutions to this and learning how to take these things out of the environment and then reutilize them in productive and useful ways, right? Because that stuff's been done. Okay, no sense in crying over spilt milk, so to speak. But we should be focusing our attention on solutions to this. I'm all for that. But yeah. Plastic-related stuff, Guy, you got anything?
Well, there was a scientist that was on the Rogan podcast that was making correlations between those plastics that you find in like foods that we consume, like fish, for example, that get into our systems. She made a correlation between that and what's that line between your balls and your asshole? Taint?
Oh, your gooch.
Your gooch.
Your taint.
Yeah, that is decreasing. And there's a correlation made between plastics being consumed and that and or sex reproductivity. Did I say that right? Yeah. So essentially these plastics are having an effect on our sex organs and how we are able to reproduce, actually. Have you heard about this?
Yes. Well, I've heard about the correlations between the increase in these things in our environments and our exposure to them and the fact that, fertility count, like sperm count in men in developed nations is going down. Gen Z, I think it's 40-something% of Gen Z identifies as, bisexual, non-bi, one of the new things, whereas historically, from, most mammalian species, it's 10%, whereas over the last few years, we've seen a rapid increase in that, from up to 40% now. So I think that these are things that could be contributing. I don't know if there is causation, but like you just said, there is correlation. I don't know about the causation. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, yes, we definitely have more of these things in our environments. We're definitely interacting with them more regularly. Have you heard about the stuff with receipts? The endocrine disruptors that are in receipts?
No, like a receipt that you get from buying something?
Yeah, so any of the thermal printed receipts, apparently touching and having them in your pockets and because it's all transmitted through our skin. So it goes onto our skin, it gets absorbed through the skin into our blood system and then circulates through our body. Having interactions with our body that apparently appear to be disrupting, the typical hormonal system in the body. They've done this with alligators in America because of the amount of plastics in the water systems and I'm pretty sure it is BPA. There might be another one. That is. Yeah, so they because of the amount of plastics in the water systems, the alligators obviously spend a lot of time in the water systems. And then just recently, apparently some alligator had immaculate conception where just got pregnant out of nowhere by itself, hermaphrodite style.
Mary? She's about to
Yeah,
give
yeah,
birth
Mary
to
of the alligators.
Jesus, the alligator.
This is the start of the alligators Bible teachings.
Yo, maybe
This
that's
is-
how Jesus was born, guy. Mary was just eating too many fucking plastics. Fuck, I'm gonna piss off a lot of people with that one, guy.
So yeah, this is interesting stuff. Like, and again, we don't fully know all these things yet. We need to allocate the resources, and we need to look into this. But we need to look into it with open minds, a willingness to be wrong, and that whole line of inquiry. Okay, so yeah, again, we've done these things. There's no point crying over spilt milk. All we can really do now is look for solutions. Like, again, all of these things, none of these things are good nor bad. They are what we make of them. And we're getting slapped in the face with all of this stuff saying like, God, like, look for solutions, guys, look for solutions. Don't just get caught up getting angry or upset or fearful about all of these things happening. Be part of the solutions. Look for solutions. That's sort of what I wanted to. That's my main meta point about this whole thing. I feel like I'm rambling now, but anyway.
No, I love that point though. Like that's what it is. Like that's what I'm hoping that this podcast can sort of achieve. Right? It's just like I don't think because we're both idiots, we're not necessarily the best source of information, but I feel like the way that we present information is at least going to get people to sort of think about it more, think about things more, and then do their own research, and maybe look for areas of research that might be more what's the word, not we're just two idiots talking, but like some real shit. You know what I mean? So
yes,
I feel like we can sort of try and break that barrier, get people at least interested in it, get people motivated to sort of, look into things more, and not just like we were saying before, not just sit around and do nothing, because that's not
or spend their time and energy being fearful and worked up about this or angry about it.
Yeah.
That's a waste of time and energy, right? Like, don't get caught up being that way. Don't get caught up being like angry or frustrated about this. Channel that time and energy into productive uses of it. Look for solutions. Be a part of those solutions. Change a bit of your behavior, and then look for things that can change how we utilize these bad things in the future.